Okay, and here's Jennifer.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. Thank you, Mara and Sheila, for inviting me to your wonderful library to give a presentation tonight. So thank you all for taking your time out of this beautiful day. We've had some very warm weather tonight, so our three recipes are perfect for today. We do not have to turn on the stove or the oven, and they're all great for this time of the year. And there are so many ways that we can change things up. So tonight's class, Simple Swaps for a Healthier Plate. My name is Jennifer Marcks, and I'm a gluten-free health coach, and I am all about teaching people how to get in the kitchen and make simple swaps to really improve your health. There are so many small steps that we can take that make big rewards in our health that we don't think about all the time. So I love to bring that to your attention, whether you're gluten-free or not. But my expertise is living gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for 15 years now, and all three of my children have celiac disease. So we live it, we're in it all day, every day. We've come a long way in our own journey, and we've taken everything that we've learned, and now I teach other people, either working one-on-one with clients or in my membership or through cooking classes. I love getting in the kitchen with my clients because it's so much fun. So the only drawback of doing virtual classes, you can't smell, like I can already smell everything here. You can't smell it and you can't taste it, but you have the recipes so you can try them in your own kitchen. So tonight we're going to be making a quinoa salad. We're going to be making overnight oats and a date ball treat, our chocolate brownie treat. So all three recipes are perfect for this time of the year. And each one we can change up so many different ways that it's going to get your brain flowing to have so many different recipes throughout the next few months through the summer when we're having a hot day like we are today, and you don't want to turn on the stove or you don't want to turn on the oven, but you want to have a healthy meal in front of you. So our very first recipe is our black bean quinoa salad. Now, the first thing you want to do is grab your beans, and we are going to take these and soak them. Now, you don't have to soak your beans, but I just have 1 can of organic black beans, and I soaked them for a couple of hours. Typically, I soak them overnight, but I just did a couple of hours here today because it was a busy day. If you soak your beans, what that does is that takes some of the gassiness out of the beans. When you add in a piece of kombu, which is this, let me show you. This is like a dried piece of seaweed. And you just put a very little piece in with the beans and it expands. So I just had a little piece, it expands. And that helps to pull some of the gases out of the beans. And you can also use a bay leaf if you don't want to get the kombu. And let me show you that. That's what it looks like. And I think I found this at a Whole Foods. You can find it at different grocery stores. But if you soak your beans, that is just going to help with your digestion if you have issues with beans. I noticed a huge difference in my family once I started soaking beans before I serve them. So I recommend that to most people. So that's your beans. You want to do that first because you want to soak them. And again, you can just take your can of beans and rinse them really well and start there too. Our next step is to cook your quinoa. So I have 1 cup of cooked quinoa here, and there are so many different types of quinoa out there. I have 2 from Trader Joe's. I have a white organic quinoa, and this is the tri-colored quinoa. The tri-colored is really fabulous. It's a really nutty flavor. So this is a great one to make in the winter and in the fall because it adds a nuttiness if you're doing a really big quinoa salad. I have a great fall quinoa salad. This white one is my favorite because it is the least bitter of quinoa. If you cook quinoa, you want to cook it just like rice. 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. Put that in a pan and bring it to a boil. Cover it, turn it off, and just let it sit for 15 minutes. And it comes out perfect every time. You have this nice fluffy quinoa. And quinoa is a great substitute instead of rice or pasta. Not that rice or pasta are bad, but in moderation, they're fine. But this is just an upgrade to that. And it offers all 9 essential amino acids. So it's a really great protein to add into your meal rotations. I serve this to my family. My kids eat it. The first time we had quinoa, nobody ate it. None of us liked it. So it's an acquired taste, but it is part of our everyday meals all the time now. The big trick to quinoa and cooking quinoa is grabbing a colander like this and rinsing it really well before you cook it. Quinoa has a very bitter outer coating on it. And if you don't rinse it, you're not going to enjoy it. I will tell you that right now. The first time I made it, I didn't rinse it, and there's a huge difference, my friends. A very big difference. So, all right, so this salad comes together very easily. You can make the quinoa ahead of time and leave it in the fridge. That's what I did. Or you can make the quinoa and keep this. This could be warm quinoa right now, which is totally fine as well. So we're just going to add that can of beans that we've soaked. Whether you soak it overnight or just for a couple of hours is totally fine. Going to add that right to our quinoa. And then I have a red pepper that I have diced up. And I'm going to add that right to our bowl. So this is just a lot of chopping ahead of time. I have half of a red onion. Now, a red onion has a lot of oomph to it, right? You can really smell this here. It has a big kick to it. So you can use a little less or you can use a little more, depending on your taste buds, right? And your family's taste buds. My children don't love red onion, so I don't put as much in for them, but otherwise they will eat this. This is half a can of olives that I have just chopped up. So that goes right in the bowl as well. So far we just had look how pretty that is. So we just had our quinoa and red pepper. You can use any kind of pepper that you like. If you like a green pepper, red pepper, yellow. Our family loves the sweet peppers. That's why we go with the red pepper. Orange peppers are great. We have some red onion and some olives. I mean, just that alone, look at how pretty that salad is. And we're going to top it off with some lime. I just have a nifty juicer here, my lemon press. I'm going to use with my lime. We're going to squeeze this over the top. Get all that good juice in there. And give it a great flavor over here. I'm going to use the whole lime. It wasn't that big. Get nice lime juice here. And this salad is so great because these are great things that we can use right now. But in the middle of the summer, when your vegetable, we're going to stir that in. When your vegetable garden is growing zucchini and tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers, you can throw all of that in with the quinoa and create a different salad every week. Because whatever you have on hand, all those vegetables. In the fall and in the winter, I do lots of roasted vegetables, roasted squash and roasted pumpkin, all different kinds of squashes, sweet potatoes, and broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and mixing all that up with the quinoa is so incredibly delicious. This is just some olive oil I'm going to drizzle over the top just to add some more flavor. I'm going to throw in just a pinch of basil, just a little bit. You don't need much. And parsley. I would love to have my fresh parsley. It's just starting to grow in my garden. So if I chop that down, it would have been all of it. So we're going to just use our dried parsley for tonight, and that's totally fine. But in the summertime, when you have a bunch of great parsley or you find that at the farmer's market, that definitely makes a difference, adding in the fresh herbs. And they're going to be in such abundance soon at all the farmers markets. So, all right. So how quick and easy did that come together, right? It was just a little bit of chopping that I did ahead of time. So there's our salad. And this is really great to eat on its own. It's a great dish all by itself. You can grill some chicken and put it right over the top, or some fish, or slices of turkey. whatever you like. And again, here we go. There you go. You can add some, you can slice up an avocado and put that over the top. A little bit of sea salt, but it's a really delicious salad. It's much better too after it's been sitting in the fridge. Let's give it a taste. Mmm, really fresh, really delicious. So again, came together so super fast, and you can make this in so many different ways. Just think about what are all vegetables you have in your fridge that you can throw in here. You can chop up spinach or kale and throw that in as well. If you don't want the beans in, take the beans out, put some chicken in, or or some shrimp. But you can mix this up so many different ways. I mean, I love it. Great salad. It's a great summer salad. It's a great summer salad to bring to your friend's barbecue. All right. And I meant to say, if you have questions while we're going through class, I tend to talk quickly. So if you have questions, you can either unmute or send a note in the chat, and Mara will tell us what your question is. Good, Mara? All right. Any questions on the quinoa salad?
I actually have a question. Which is more nutritious, the beans or the quinoa?
That's a great question. I would say the quinoa, they're both very nutritious. They both offer a great protein. But I would probably say the quinoa if I had to choose, but they're both really a great option to add on to your plate. I mean, the quinoa, just to upgrade your pasta or your rice, and your beans to take the place of any of the meats, right? So if you're doing a plant-based dinner, a meatless Monday, or what that you're trying to do, beans are such a great protein to add in instead. Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else with questions before we move on to our next recipe? You look good. Okay, looks good. All right, so this would just go in the fridge, and if it lasts a few days, that's great. Doesn't always last that long in our house. Okay, so we're going from dinner to breakfast. And this is another great meal for the summer coming up. And maybe we have more time on our hands, or you're going to the beach on vacation, or you need some quick and easy ideas for breakfast. This is a great alternative. We start with overnight oats. We're going to start with some oats. So let's just talk about oats for a minute. If we go to the store and buy the pre-mixed oat packs, that I grew up eating, that dismembered my belly, that just really didn't agree with me. We need to pay attention to labels, and that's what it comes down to. Making healthier choices is really paying attention to what's in our food. So when you make things yourself, one, you're in charge of the ingredients and you're in charge of what's going in there. So you are picking what you're eating, and you are being intentional about what you're putting on your plate by the ingredients that you're using. So oats in the gluten-free world are a bit controversial because oats themselves are naturally gluten-free, but they're not really gluten-free because oats are grown on fields that are typically next to a wheat field. And sometimes the farmers will grow wheat on the field one year and oats on the field the next year. So that causes a lot of cross-contamination in the farming process and in the just processing them to put them in the bag. So there's lots of cross-contamination happening. So when you see oats and that's all that's in there and it doesn't say certified gluten-free, you want to stay away from that. You want it to be certified. You want it to say certified gluten-free if you're going to have oats and you have celiac or you're gluten intolerant, okay? So quick oats are great for this. This is Thrive Market. They have a great line of certified gluten-free oats. They have rolled oats. They have quick oats. Bob's Red Mill is another one. And I recently found this at Costco, this huge bag. This is Farmers We Know, and it's sprouted rolled oats. So a sprouted oat is going to be a bit more nutritious than your typical rolled oat because it holds in the nutrition for you. So that's a great option. When you're making overnight oats, you can use either rolled oats, so that's going to make it a little chewier, a little crunchier, or quick oats, which will be a little creamier. So depending on what you want. The only oat that doesn't work with overnight oats are the steel cut oats because they're just a little too hard to break down overnight. But in this recipe, you can use either of those, rolled or quick. I have a half a cup of quick oats in a pint mason jar. Grab a jar, and this is so great. You can do this with your family. Have a jar for everybody. Or if you have, okay, 3 days you're going to work and you know you're gonna get up and run out the door, you put your 3 jars in a row and you meal prep and you make them all at once because these will be great in the fridge for about 5 days, okay? So we are starting with some oats. I've already added in a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves, but you can just do cinnamon. You can do any mix of, any mix of spices that you enjoy. And this is another recipe that you can mix up in so many different ways. We're going to add just a tablespoon of flax seed. This is ground flax seed. If you use flax seed, you do not want to use just flax seed, which are the seeds. Those go in one end and out the other end and do not offer you any nutrition. You want to have ground flaxseed, and we're going to add a tablespoon of that, and that's just going to give you a boost of nutrition. Got some great nutrients in there that your body can use. And we're going to give that just one quick stir there. You have your oats, you have your spices, and your flaxseed. Then I have half of an apple that I have diced up, and I threw a little bit of lemon on that just so that it wouldn't brown too much. The last thing kids want to see is a brown apple in their in their oatmeal, right? Okay, so then we're going to take milk. You can use regular milk. If you're dairy-free like we are, I am using a coconut milk. And the brand that we like to use is this So Delicious. It's a great brand. You can use canned coconut milk. You can use almond milk, soy milk, whatever milk that you enjoy, oat milk. We're going to do about 2/3 cup of milk. Just going to add that right in. And we're just going to give that a stir. So what's great about this recipe is we have our oats, and you can basically add anything to that. In the fall, we love to make pumpkin overnight oats, where we add some pumpkin and then all those delicious fall spices, the ginger and the nutmeg and the cinnamon, and then the pumpkin is so delicious. So basically, we stir it up and we cover it, and it goes in the fridge. So you can see that that's pretty loosey-goosey, right? But if we take one that I made yesterday, there, that doesn't even move. So this is what happens. It gets thick, it gets nice and thick. So that one will go in the fridge that we just made. And this one, now look at how nice and thick that is. We can put this in a little bowl. Let me grab my bowl here. Okay. We can stick this in a little bowl, and then you can get really creative. So you can take your apple cinnamon oatmeal here. You can add some more cinnamon. You can add nuts, berries, seeds, pumpkin seeds, any of it, maple syrup. You can really get creative. And you can eat this cold. I love to eat it cold. You can eat it hot in the morning. Just warm it up right in the microwave. Make sure you're not putting a metal top in there. Just the jar can go in there. It all comes together, and it's so refreshing and delicious. But you can really wake up, grab this out of the fridge, and take it to work. My kids sometimes take this for lunch for school. Same thing, right? You just take it with you, you're done. You're all set. Before you go, you can drizzle a little maple syrup in there, throw some walnuts, some blueberries, some pumpkin seeds, to spruce it up a little bit. Or eating it just like this is just a great little snack too in the afternoon if you need a little pick-me-up. But you can change this up so many different ways just by starting with the oats, maybe some spices and the milk and letting that sit overnight. In the morning, cut up some peaches and throw some peaches and granola on top. You've got like a peach cobbler. We talked about the pumpkin spice one, which is easy for the fall. You could do bananas, sliced bananas and walnuts, maybe with a little crunch of coconut on top. So you can really get very creative. You could do a nut butter and some jelly, mix that in, throw some chocolate chips on top, right? The kids love that one. But you can get really creative. And the best part is that you can do this with your family or for yourself and make them, put them in the fridge, and you have 5 days to grab one and take it with you. So I make these when we go to the beach. Breakfast is done. I don't have to think too much about it, right? So you're not waking up in your beach house and thinking, all right, now I have to cook breakfast. No, I'm on vacation. So plan ahead and you have some great treats, right? But this is such a great swap out for the boxed and the packets in the store, because those, when you stop and read the ingredients, you have a long list of ingredients that you can't read. So my rule is, if you can't read the word, do you want to put it in your body? So think about that as you're shopping. And that's going to start to change your mind, and you're going to start picking healthier options, because who wants to put something in your body that you don't know what it is, right? So we don't know what these foods are doing to us as we're aging and as we're digesting them, and we don't even know what they are. So that's something to really watch. So anybody, well, let me ask, what flavor would you make for overnight oats? Anyone? Just type it in the chat and Mara will tell us. Is it a recipe you would try? Maybe I should ask that. Is it a recipe that you would try? Peaches, oh yeah. And we should be getting some nice peaches at the farm soon enough, right?
I have another question. Thrive Market, can you buy it in the store or is it only online? Because my girls get Thrive Market shipments.
Oh no, Thrive Market is all online.
That's what I thought.
It
Okay.
is all online. And if you're interested, I can send you, I have a 40% off coupon for them. It does give me a little kickback as an affiliate, but it gives you your first order to be 40% off. And you can sign up. What I love about Thrive Market is you order it, it comes to your house within 3 days, and you can find some really great options that are healthier options. And you just watch my tip is watch the sales, because their prices, and you have to pay attention to prices. Some of their items are great deals and others are pricier than the grocery store, but they offer so many great sales. So just pay attention to that. And if you order the same foods like every month, then you get that at a discount. So you
If
do
you
get
want to send it to me, and then I'll send it to everybody else, because
okay.
my daughter is vegan and she
Oh,
loves
yeah.
Thrive Market, and she gets a package sent every month.
Yeah, it's super fun. I love getting food right to my door. Especially delicious things that you didn't know existed, right? We find new things there all the time. So it's a lot of fun because you can just sit there and explore. So all right, we are moving on. Yeah, I tell you, I talk fast. We are moving on to our third recipe, our yummy dessert. And this is another one that is just a special treat at our house that we love. And if you love chocolate, I am a total chocoholic, which did nothing for me when I was growing up. But now that I know how to eat chocolate, dark chocolate, a little bit, so satisfying. When you teach your body that, it really does change things, and when you make treats like we're gonna make, you're gonna see that eating one, like we don't have to sit down and eat the whole bag of M&Ms. You eat one date ball and it is so satisfying and delicious, you don't need another one. Except if you're my boys who are teenagers and want to eat all of them at once. But for us, it's not the same. It's just a whole different thing. Was there a question on there, Mara?
I'm embarrassed. It's for me again. What brands of chocolate do you like best?
Oh, that's a really great question. So for us, we are gluten-free and dairy-free. So of course, as soon as I went gluten-free, the first thing I did was I thought, you go into deprivation mode and think, oh my gosh, there's nothing left to eat. And that's what every client has ever said to me. And it's how I felt and how my kids felt. So here's the thing. You find your favorite thing. As soon as I found a chocolate that was dairy-free and gluten-free, I was like, okay, I can do this, right? Because back then, 15 years ago, I was a chocoholic. So we use a lot of Enjoy Life chocolate chips. They have a lot of different types. This is a dark chocolate chip. They have some really small ones that are fun. We also use endangered species, which is those are bars. Those are delicious, and there's lots of different varieties. I have another one I'm going to put up and share with you. Lots of different varieties of endangered species, and it's a better brand. And then this I found at Whole Foods a couple months ago, and I had not heard of it before. It's called Guitard, and they're pretty tasty. They're dark chocolate, but they have coconut sugar in them. So the difference here, so if you are moving away from sugar and using whole sugars like dates and maple syrup and coconut sugar, they're still sugars, but they work differently in your body. So coconut sugar is one of those sweeteners that you can add to a recipe, and your sugars are not going to go up and down. When you eat a treat that has a lot of sugar in it, you spike up, you spike down, you're all over the place. Well, with coconut sugar, your levels remain the same. And I grew up baking, and when I went gluten-free, I had a whole meltdown of I'm never going to bake again. I mean, this is crazy. Look at all these flowers. What do we do, right? And now I'm teaching other people how to bake, because when you learn the tricks and the tips and the strategies of putting together a gluten-free treat that comes together, if you take that gluten out, everything falls apart, right? So you have to have the little tricks to pull it all back together. And as we were going through our gluten-free journey in my family, setting up our gluten-free lifestyle and making a healthier plate, because if you can't have gluten, that's your body telling you, hey, you've got to do something to create a healthier plate here, to create health in your life, because gluten is derailing that health. And it kind of wakes you up that, okay, I have to think better about what I'm putting on my plate so my body feels better, so I'm stronger. And you make the changes. And as we were going through our gluten-free journey and putting that together, I started noticing that sugar was really bothering me as well. And I grew up eating all the treats and all the junk. So it's like, give up sugar, what? So we'd have no white sugar, brown sugar in our house. We use pure maple syrup or dates or coconut sugar. So those are what we bake with, what we cook with. But if I add sugar to a recipe, I'm using maybe a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons in a recipe. So even in our cakes, maybe a quarter of a cup of some kind of a sugar. I mean, because you will see gluten-free baking, often you're going to see double the sugar added, because people think gluten-free tastes terrible, so you have to add all this extra stuff to it. And that's not true, so don't fall for that. My children will go to a gluten-free bakery and they're like, we found a bakery, we're so excited. And they'll get something and bring it home. They'll be like, oh my God, it's so sweet, because there's so much added sugar. But you can cut that down and still we bake amazing treats all the time. And people are like, are you sure it's gluten-free? It's so tasty and great. And date balls are one of those things that it's not something you have to bake. You can, again, make this in so many different flavors and different ways that it is really, really fun. So our date balls, we're starting with just some organic dates. I found this at Costco. You can do the medjool dates as well if you want. Those are a little heartier, a little meatier. but these dates are just as good. And I've taken a cup of dates, and sometimes, the dates can be, sometimes they're gooey and really soft, and sometimes they're hard. So what you want to do first is boil some water and take a cup of oats and then cover your, a cup of dates, and then cover your dates with the hot boiled water and let it sit for 5 minutes. Now, because I started class a bit ago, it's been sitting for more than 5 minutes. They'll be nice and soft, but it's okay. Just as long as it's about 5 minutes. If you have any that are harder, they will soften up for you. And we're just gonna, I have a little sink here. Now I'm just going to drain most of that water, pretty much all of that water out, and dump my dates right into my food processor here. Okay. And then we are going to add, I have some oats. These are rolled oats. No, excuse me. These are my quick oats. You can also use rolled oats. If you don't want to use oats, you could do a coconut flour. The only thing about coconut flour is that that is a flour that sucks up all the moisture in your recipe. So you'll want to add extra water to your recipe if you're using coconut flour. So we're going to add the oats right in there. I have some cacao, which is your superfood cocoa. So it's not processed like our typical cocoa powder. It's a superfood. It has all the nutrients that your body needs. It has magnesium and manganese and all the delicious things that your body needs. So we're going to put that in there, and I have a little bit of protein powder as well. So whatever protein powder you have, you can add. You don't have to add that in, but it's just another oomph that you can add in there. You can also throw in some powdered collagen if you have that, just to add in for another oomph. We also have some shredded coconut. So this is one product that blew me away when I really started paying attention to reading labels and what we were eating, because I grew up making macaroons and using shredded coconut. And when I went to buy some when I was going to bake gluten-free, I started reading the label of the shredded coconut. Like, what are all these ingredients? It was coconut and then 10 other things, all words that were very scientific, and I couldn't read. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to eat that because I don't know, is that gluten or no? Okay, this is Trader Joe's. We like Trader Joe's at our house. And this is coconut, organic coconut. That's it. That's all that should be in your coconut. So there's a huge difference there of what this is going to do to your body and what the shredded coconut with the 25 things that we don't know what they are is going to do to your body. And how your health goes forward, that changes things, friends, whether we want to admit that or not. Right? So pay attention. So that is just about 1/4 cup of shredded coconut. So we're going to add that right into our blender as well. I have some cinnamon. I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon. And I have some maple syrup. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of maple syrup. Again, this is pure maple syrup. You want to say adios to Aunt Jemima. Sorry, Aunt Jemima. But, go read your labels and you're going to see. Find one that is pure. This is just pure maple syrup. You put about a tablespoon in there. And that's it. We are going to blend that up and see how that comes together. All right, here we go. And you want to stop it and just push down the sides and kind of see. Now, sometimes the dates are drier just because that's how it works. And sometimes they're a little bit more wet. These look a little bit dry. I'm going to add just a splash of water. You don't want to add too much water because they're not so great if they're mushy. So we're just going to add a very little bit of water. And I'm going to blend that up a little bit longer for you. Now, I typically get the question, can I make this in my blender, in my regular blender? The dates don't really mush up enough in a regular blender, but if you have like a Ninja or something a little hot, like a NutriBullet here, like if you have a high powered blender, that will work, but your typical everyday blender won't work. This is just a Cuisinart that works perfectly for this recipe. And you can, if you have a small one, big one, doesn't matter. So, all right, a little more blending here. All right, so you might have noticed that it just started to kind of all come together in one clump. That's what we're looking for. You want it to all blend and come together. So we're going to take this. Now we could add some chocolate chips. You could add some dried fruit. You could add some nuts, you know, so again, you can change this up many different ways. And if you decide that you really like date balls, we have a whole bunch of different date balls on our website, on my website, which is Gluten-Free Marcks the Spot.com, and that's in your recipe booklet. So yeah, you can do that. So we're just going to take these, and this is a great project if you have kids. If you don't want to, because you're going to get all messy here with the cocoa. And we're just going to roll them into balls. And again, you can take this and even go another step and then roll them in cocoa, or roll them in sprinkles, or roll them in the coconut, and you can even throw them in the oven for, doesn't take very long, for like 3 to 5 minutes. If you put coconut, shredded coconut on the outside, and it toasts it, which is really delicious. We're not putting the oven on today. Too hot for that. So I'll just roll a couple of these here for you. But this is a really delicious little treat here. Let me rinse my hands real quick. You get real messy real fast with this. But then you just have these date balls that are just really delicious and tasty. Now, on the website, we have a carrot cake date ball. They're a little chewy, so you want to chew them up. As I sit, some of those oats break down some more. So just roll them all up, keep them in the fridge. I'd give it maybe 5 days, but ours never lasts that long. So you just pull one out when you want a chocolate treat, and it's so delicious and satisfying. We have other ones on the website. My children have made up ones. We have those on the website. We have a carrot cake date ball on the website, and it just tastes like you're taking a bite out of carrot cake. And it's so delicious, and it's made from dates. So the dates are, you know, they are sugar, but this is also loaded with fiber. So these are really good for your gut health, you know, so that it's gonna help you do all kinds of things for your body, but it's giving you nutrients and minerals that your body needs. So if you're looking at, well, it's too much sugar, you have to weigh all that, right? It's still a sugar, but it's a whole different sugar compared to your white sugar or your brown sugar. Okay. Any questions on what we've made? So we made a delicious dinner. You have a quinoa salad, your black bean quinoa salad. We made our overnight oats, which I put away here. Our overnight oats that we can really enjoy any time of the day. And a treat, which is your chocolate brownie bite. Now, if you're out and about in the summertime, make sure you keep everything in a cooler. These are great to bring along on hikes or anything like that, but you do want to keep them cold because they can get a little bit mushy in the hot, like hot today. They do get mushy. But again, you can make them in so many different ways. And you don't want to use the oats, use coconut flour. There are other substitutes you can use. You can grind up nuts and use that. You can use nut butter. I mean, there's all different ways that we can mix it up and make it delicious. So any questions on anything I've shared so far?
It's interesting because it's really a gluten-free and also a vegan.
Yes.
Everything you made is vegan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Healthier options.
To unmute. Dorothy, do you have a question?
I have a question, if I may. If you are using white and brown sugar and you would like to eliminate it, how do you substitute coconut sugar in your baking? Because I also love to bake, but I'd like to cut back on the sugar.
Yes. So what I personally did as we baked, so if I go back to my regular baking days and made a banana bread, I had almost 2 cups of sugar in my banana bread loaf, right?
Mhm.
So I think back, wow. Every time I made that banana bread, I went down to 1 cup. Then I went down to half a cup. My banana bread, the banana bread that we make today, I have a 1/4 cup of, actually, it's not even anymore. It's about a 1/4 cup, if maybe 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And that's all that's in there. Bananas are very sweet, so they can take over that sweetness. But if you want to take that away, each time you're making a recipe, cut back a little bit. Some recipes you're going to have to add maybe a little applesauce or a mashed banana or a little bit of water, because sugar is your moisture in there. So you have to find a way to balance the recipe. But cutting back your sugar, you can still have amazing baked treats. I mean, we make them every day at our house. I have, you can check out some of my recipes online and see how much sugar I'm using in things. And I have a baking for beginners, gluten-free baking for beginners, that teaches you a lot of those substitutes as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's helpful information. And thank you. It's a wonderful presentation that you're giving tonight.
Thanks, Dorothy. Great question. Thank you.
Um,
Anybody else have a question?
Can I come back to that issue? I just thought of something else. Okay.
Of course, of
Thank
course.
you. I don't want to take anybody else's time away.
You're good.
If I'm cutting back on the amount of sugar, do I have to adjust the other ingredients? Besides like the amount of flour and all of that, how does that work?
It depends on the recipe.
Okay.
So what I found is I would mix up the recipe and then see how the batter is. And it's kind of a trial and error type of a thing, because your sugar is a liquid. So you might have to add in some recipes. I'll add in a little more, maybe applesauce, or
Okay.
just some water or extra milk or whatever it is that is another liquid in the recipe, depending on what you're making.
Okay. So if the recipe calls for a liquid, I could cut back on the sugar, but increase the milk.
Yes, but don't do that right away. You want to mix everything up and see how the batter feels to you first.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you might have too much liquid. See what I mean?
Understood. Okay. Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Every recipe is really a little different, so it's a hard one to answer specifically. But a lot of baking is experimenting in your kitchen, right?
It is. It is. It's trial and error, and you learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Of course. Anyone else have a question for me before we wrap up? Mara, I think there's one in there. Can you read it for me? Because I can't see it from across my counter.
Absolutely. This question's from Shirley. Is there any advantage of quinoa that has to be rinsed versus pre-rinsed quinoa? I use pre-rinsed quinoa from nuts.com.
Ooh, that's really interesting. Okay. I would say as long as it's rinsed, you're good. If it's already rinsed for you, then that's great. But you do want to rinse it because it does have that bitter outer coating on it. And if you don't rinse it, that's what you taste when you eat the quinoa. I have never seen that. So what did you say it was? Nuts.com?
Actually, Shirley, I was going to ask, I've heard great things about nuts.com. I don't know if anybody else has ordered from nuts.com, but they say it's a really good, get really good service and great products. So I actually want to try nuts.com.
Gonna
Yeah,
have to
we
look into
ordered
that.
that.
I've never seen quinoa that's been pre-rinsed. So that's see, we always learn from each other. I love that.
All the quinoa at nuts.com has been pre-rinsed, and the company has a lot of gluten-free products, a lot of
Mhm.
gluten-free nuts and many different things. It's
Mhm.
the website and the name of the company, nuts.com.
Thank you, Shirley. Yeah, I've heard of the company, but I haven't ordered for them before, so thank you. Well, all right, if there are no more questions, Mara, can I share 2 more quick things? Is that
You
okay?
can share whatever you like.
Okay, well, just this past month, I became a published author, so I'm very excited. Maybe we'll send a copy for your library there, Mara.
I would love it. Love it.
This is a gluten-free wellness journal. So it's your path to building clarity, confidence, and health in your gluten-free life. What this is it's a journal that you actually fill in. And it's as when we go gluten-free, you're learning so many different things about, and this was for me, this is what I did for myself. And I was like, wait, my clients need this. I need to make this. So I finally put it together. But finding your foods, like, okay, then you get home after you've been to 6 grocery stores and you think, what store did I find that cracker in that I really loved? Or where did I find the quinoa that I really liked? If it doesn't say Trader Joe's on it, you might not remember which store you found it in. So keeping track of that. There's all kinds of trackers in here for meal prep and for recipes and meal planning, restaurants that you find. I mean, that's a big one too, because we go to a restaurant and we think we're going to remember what we ordered and which restaurant we loved or didn't like. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, wait, what was the name of that restaurant, right? So you keep track, you write it in here. And the thing that I love about this is it gives you clarity. It gives you confidence because you write it down and you're not worried about remembering everything. And you're filling in like your reactions and your foods what do you eat and what does that do to you? Like you eat this, you have a bellyache or you have a rash or whatnot, you throw up. Well, what do you do about that? And you fill that in. And then if you are sick, your loved ones, your partner, your husband, your wife, whoever can take this book and say, she can't go to the grocery store. I can look at this page of Trader Joe's and know what to buy her there. Or this page from Big Y or ShopRite, and I know what food she buys there because she has it written down here. So it's their way of helping you as well. So it's really great for you and for your family, and just to track everything that you're learning and really get that overwhelm out of there, right? So yeah, so I'm very excited. It is on Amazon. It retails for $18.99 right now. So I'm very excited. That just popped up just last week. So we're thrilled over here. So yeah, Mara, I'll have to get you a copy of that.
And you want to tell us a little about your classes and your business a little bit?
Oh, sure. Sure. As I told you, I've been gluten-free for 15 years. So it was 15 years ago, no one around me knew what gluten was. I didn't either. And most of my friends thought I made it up. My family was like, what? I became the you're too much girl. In your health, you have to learn to speak up because it's your health, right? So I've learned a lot of lessons on this road. But as I discovered from myself that gluten was really derailing my health, and the more I started really researching and learning about gluten, it keyed me into, at the time, I have 3 children, but at the time I had 2, and my children were having these just different health issues going on that nobody put all together. And my son was really small. I was a small kid, so that wasn't a really big red flag, but celiac stunts your growth if you don't know you have it. And when he went gluten-free, he grew 4 inches his first year. My daughter had a belly, bloated every night. The doctor said, oh, she's stressed out. I'm like, she's in 3rd grade. She's a happy-go-lucky kid. She's not stressed out. She started to get vitiligo down her leg, which is the discoloration of your skin. So that in itself was scary. She started having neurological tics where she would play basketball, shoot, score, and put her hands in her pockets because her arms would go everywhere. And the parents would say, your daughter's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, if you only knew. A lot of scary things were happening. And my son was also behind in dental growth because celiac will deter that as well. And so as I was reading and studying, It's like, oh my gosh, I think my kids have celiac, and they tested off the charts for celiac. And my third was born into it. We all went gluten-free. So I was gluten-free for a year before them. And then they went gluten-free, and everything changed in our house. My son grew 4 inches in that first year. His dental is fine now. I mean, now he's 22 and he towers over me. He's a big, strong guy. My daughter has no neurological tics. The vitiligo stopped in its tracks. It went away. All of my issues. I had canker sores. I was a teacher, and I had canker sores so bad some days I couldn't talk. That was not a good thing for a teacher. I had belly aches, and I basically lived in the bathroom. Didn't matter what I ate. And I would say, I think it's food. I would tell the doctors, I think it's food, but I don't know what it is. And they'd say, you're stressing yourself out. Stop worrying about it so much. So I advocated for myself, and I kept going. And because of that, it's changed our entire family's life. And I don't know that I say it's one of the best things that ever happened to me, finding out that I had to be gluten-free, because it led me to my children. Like, if they were eating gluten all these years, I can't imagine what their health would look like right now. And nobody was putting the pieces together. So it was a crazy road to follow. And the more people I talk to, we all have a lot of similar stories where we have symptoms because your body is telling you things all the time. And we're all busy moms or women or whatever, and we are busy. That headache you get every day, and you blow it off and you ignore it and you keep going. I did that forever. I had sinus infection after sinus infection after sinus infection. All those antibiotics I took started to really break down my intestines, and then it all just catapulted from there. And all the reactions, the neuropathy in your hands and your feet. We don't always think that it's food, but food is the root cause of so much of this. And if you ever heard of Dr. Tom O'Brien, he's a functional medicine doctor. He, as well as many other doctors, now state that gluten really is, how wheat is grown today, is really not something that anybody can digest anymore, the way it's changed. So pay attention to that. I was eating more wheat because that was healthy. I was eating whole wheat bread and whole wheat. We even made whole wheat pizzas at our house because I thought it was healthier, but I didn't realize I was deteriorating my health because of it. So when you key into what your body's telling you, that's when you're going to key into, wow, making a small change. Gluten is a huge change. And it took my family a while to get it down. And when I was going to go back to work to be a teacher, my friends all said, no, you have to help other people do what you just did, because look what you did. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, all right, I love to teach. I still think I'm teaching because I am still teaching. But getting in the kitchen is one of my favorite things with clients. I have individual clients or groups of people, and teaching classes, because we fall into the whole deprivation mindset. If you give up gluten, you're not going to have anything left to eat. And because gluten is in everything, right? But I will tell you, we eat like kings at our house. And there's no gluten, there's no dairy, and there's no corn. I'm also intolerant to corn, which is a whole other story past gluten. But we eat delicious food all the time and serve it to everyone that comes to our house. So we're not brainwashed that it's good. Other people tell us that too. But, teaching clients these small swaps, these small changes that you can make, really makes such a huge difference in your health moving forward. It ripples through your family. I've seen just my friends and my family, extended family, change things because of what I've done. And I've seen a difference in them as well, which is really amazing. So I do work with clients one-on-one, either cooking or just to teach them how to live a gluten-free lifestyle. But I also have a gluten-free membership. It's a monthly membership where you go through the steps every month, and you learn the next step of putting your gluten-free life together. Because I've taught this in so many different ways. I've taught it in a 6-week class or a 12-week class, and every week we get the new topic, and people are like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. Society wants everything yesterday. right? That's how we live. We want it all yesterday. But when you do it all at once, nothing happens, right? So if you are gluten-free, if you need to go gluten-free, or if you're wondering if it's for you, I'm actually teaching a class next Tuesday. It's a free class, which I can also send you the link. It's a gluten-free reset class, how to stop surviving and start thriving so that you have your health and enjoy your life. Because gluten-free living is not a sentence that you live in deprivation or that you have to stay, away from your friends. You can't go out with your friends anymore. And you can't, you can't go out to dinner and you can't go to the wedding. And, we tell ourselves these things that aren't true. You can live a very full life. You just have to have some things in place. And once you do that, it changes everything. So, yeah. So that's the whole thing. So I do have a podcast as well called Saying Goodbye to Gluten. And that's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I have a new episode. I have done 2 episodes up until June. I just started 1 episode for now moving forward. Every Tuesday is a new episode. There's a lot on there. You want to go check any of that out. There's lots of great information in living gluten-free and swaps and all kinds of things that you can learn from there. But a lot of it's on my website, and you have the recipes from tonight and all the ways that you can get a hold of me on the back page of your booklet. But Mara, I can send you the Thrive Market link and the link to my class that's it's on Tuesday, and I'm teaching it at noon and at 6 p.m. It's going to be on Zoom, so very easy to click in. And if you can't attend, but you want to watch the class, you can still sign up and you'll get the replay. So, yeah.
It sounds
Thanks.
wonderful, and everything you send to me, I will send on to everybody else. And
Okay, thank you.
this was really, really wonderful. You did an excellent job. Very interesting, very informative.
Thank
So,
you.
I thought it was great, and I love the way you present everything. And as you know, I'm gluten-free. I have some of the issues you had, not celiac, but
Yep.
and I learned so much from you tonight. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
that's so great. That's great to hear. Thank you. That's why I'm here. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate
thank
all of
you.
you taking time out to be here tonight. So thanks so much. If you have any more questions, you can email me or just contact me on the back page there.
Excellent. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.